it is time for us to officially get started. And I'm going to do a quick intro where I cover our agenda and a few other little odds and ends before we get rolling today. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to do this little intro that I'm doing right now, be very short. From about 10:05 to 10:15, we're going to take about 10 minutes. And each of our tech ambassadors is going to get just a minute or two to just share one thing with all of you who've joined us. And that could be one thing about the technology they use. It could be one thing they've learned from participating in this program. But whatever that one thing is, we're going to give them the opportunity to share that with you. And then the rest of our program today is going to be for you, for your questions, your comments, and answers as we can. So we want to make one thing clear to everyone. The live Q&A is really intended for individuals who are joining us today and their family members. And I am aware that we've had several providers who have day programs and may have groups of individuals. So that certainly includes you. If any of the folks in your group would like to ask questions live, we hope that the provider staff will be able to help them ask those questions, because we would like to hear from just as many of those individuals and family members as we can. And then we also got questions that were sent in with your registration. We really appreciate those. We've got some really good questions that we'll talk about during that time. Okay, so if you haven't joined us on previous events, we just want to briefly mention our virtual presence here. The main place you want to go is our website if you want to know about the program and what we're doing. We actually just posted our round 2 event schedule, which we'll cover in a minute, on that website, so you can register for all of the rest of those events. We also have social media presences on Facebook and Instagram, and we have our YouTube channel where all of the events that we hold are recorded and then posted later. So you can go back and look at any of our round 1 events or even our kickoff event at that YouTube channel if that's something that you're interested in. So you may know we have 5 tech ambassadors, and we split the state up into 5 regions. You'll hear from all 5 of our tech ambassadors here in a minute. And then we just want to cover our schedule. So we started with our kickoff event in January. We just finished our round 1 regional meetings, 1 meeting per region, late in March. Today we have tech ambassadors listen. And then our round 2 meetings, as you can see, we just have our schedule out for those mid-April through mid-May, really 1 per week, starting next week. So we hope you'll register for those and join us. And I'll mention the structure of those events is going to be very much more like today's structure. We're going to reserve a lot of time for Q&A, and we really, really want to get out and interact with folks in those regions. So if you don't get a chance to ask a question today, maybe join us for one of those meetings. And then we're going to have our statewide wrap-up event where we come back and kind of share with folks on the state what we've been doing and how things went. All right. So if our tech ambassadors are ready, I'm going to have you guys share your one thing with our group today. How about we start with Marcy? Marcy Strotter, everybody.
All righty.
What one thing would you like to share with everyone? Yep.
Okay, I couldn't hear you. One thing I would like to share is about how remote supports can be paid by your waiver. Like, for example, if you've seen all the technologies that I had at my first round that I presented, it was provided by my waiver. So only thing you need to do is talk to your SSA, service coordinator, people on your team that help you, and and you tell them, oh, I want an Alexa, I want to Google something, and it'll play. And so with me, my service coordinator and my provider teamed up to give me those technologies. Like, you can't just say, I want an iPad. You got to get something that's really useful to you. And so I have a couple of things, like I have a door lock that I can't use with my I have to use it for my hand. And so my provider provided that for me. So anything you need, it could be like anything that you need, like around the house, things you need to do out in the community. You can use apps and put them into your cell phone to help you along when you go outside. But these are really, really important. So you need to talk to your SSAs and service coordinators to get these things that you want, because it can make you feel independent. You don't have to have 24-hour staff. Like me, I don't have 24-hour staff. I have my remote supports. So if you do this, it can change your life and make it better.
That's awesome. Thank you. All right, let's see. Chris, how would you like to be next? What's your one thing you want to share with everyone?
Okay, well, my one thing is that independence is important. And everybody that's either graduating from high school is looking to be independent and be on their own. And so I encourage everyone to reach out, if it's with a case management or support team, to talk to them about how technology can be used to help you be independent. I know I hear a lot of, back in the day, a lot of people saying, well, that certain person with certain disabilities, they can't really live on their own. Well, I hear SSAs or service coordinators saying, oh, you know, my clients or my people can't use those things. And my question to them is, have you ever tried it? Have they ever tried it? The answer back to me is, no, we never. Then how do you know it doesn't work when, you know, we have the right to be independent, we can live independent, we could go into the community independent. So let's try it and make it happen. Because back in the day, a couple of years ago, we had Ohio Technology First. If you want to look that up, you can Google it, Ohio Technology First, and see that Ohio is trying to help folks with disabilities to be independent, no matter who you are or what your disability is.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate that emphasis on independence. How about Nathan? Would you like to go next? What's your one thing you want to share with everyone?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My one thing that I'd like to share with everyone is that technology creates a tremendous upside for people with disabilities, especially people with physical disabilities, to really access and connect with their communities. We live in an era where everyone has smartphones and we're all connected in one way, shape, or form or another. And people with disabilities really need unique supports to be able to access all of these tools, because some of them require just more slightly advanced levels of understanding or cognition. So someone might need help to tell their story, or to use social media, or to look up new information, or to, especially since the global pandemic, attend a Zoom meeting on a wide variety of different topics. So really, technology has allowed people with physical disabilities to somewhat eliminate barriers that come from needing staffing and transportation to attend a wide variety of Zoom meetings and give input on different topics. And just the premise of that is something that's incredible. And I know that technology isn't the answer for everything. And as a person who has pretty significant physical disabilities, I'm not going to use remote supports in the same way. But I use technology differently, and it helps me compensate for my lack of dexterity to really be able to communicate on a computer and use digital assistants and other things like that. So just I would encourage everyone to not be afraid to ask the question of how technology can help me.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much, Nathan. All right. I'm going to call on Tanner. Tanner Huff. How about you go next? What is the one thing
Okay.
you'd like to share with everyone this morning?
I would like to share that technology, like Nathan said, is helpful to people with disabilities because unknowingly, me and him have the same type of disability before, before we started this, I didn't know anyone else with the same type of disability as me. So it's nice to be able to know someone with a disability that is of my own characteristics. And I just was also wanting to say that technology can be like high tech or even low tech in the sense of something that I have got within the past few months is really low tech technology, but it helps me in getting everyday work done. And you'll be able to see that plus some high tech stuff that I'm trying to get in the round 2 video later on in the year. But I just wanted to let people know that, like, if you need a certain piece of equipment, like Marcy also said, don't be afraid to ask for something, because you don't know if your SSA will be able to get it for you, because the piece of equipment I'm talking about is really inexpensive compared to other pieces of equipment people could have in their home. And just like and also I just was wanting to say also that, like, if, like, going back to any type of technology, it could be as simple as lighting in a house. If you're visually impaired, getting something like lit up where you could even see it, and you can, like, there's thousands of technology out there that you don't like think might work, or you might find that it might be an unusual way of using something that wasn't designed for what you were using it for. So just experiment with technology, because I've experimented with a lot of technology that sometimes weren't made for what I use it for. So just experiment with technology and see what works for you and what doesn't.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you. By the way, I see what you did there, Tanner. Tanner's getting a little commercial in for his event next week. When he mentions high tech and low tech, if you tune in and register for his event, you'll get to see that. I actually got to visit with Tanner yesterday, and we looked at some of those things. All right, last but certainly not least, Robert, are you ready to share your one thing with everybody?
Sure. As George said, I'm Robert Shoemaker, your Southwest Ohio Tech Ambassador. One of my big focuses for this time is the importance of trading with new software, new technology apps, or any other applications. I'm actually going through some difficulties with my technology now because of the different platforms that people like to use. I'm trying to be knowledgeable on all those platforms and be able to operate all the platforms at will is a challenge. So it's good to be able to find resources in your community that can help you with learning your technology, your software, your apps, any other applications that you may need to perform a duty or a task. I use a screen reader, I use a iPhone, I use a Alexa. So I use all these different technologies, and I have to stay up on, I guess you could call it the latest, greatest what do you want to call them? Advancements in the technology, so I can be able to compete with everyone else and be able to do all the things I want to do or need to do in my daily lives.
All
So
right. Oh, go ahead.
that's the important thing I wanted to speak about.
All right. That is awesome. We appreciate that, all you tech ambassadors. So what we're going to do now is we are going to shift to Q&A mode. So we're going to, I think at the beginning, we've got a list of questions that were sent in. And any of you tech ambassadors who want to reply to these, you should feel free. Maybe we'll try to keep our answers a little short just so that we got time to cover as many questions as possible. But for people who are in attendance, especially individuals and family members, if you use that raise hand button, we can promote you to become a panelist. We can see and hear you if you turn your microphone and camera on. So at this point in the program, you feel free to raise your hand at any point. You can ask questions, okay? So what I'm going to do is just start out at the top of some of the questions that were sent in by registrants, which are some really good ones. The first one was sent in by Austin Tuttle from the Clearwater COG. And he says, which piece of technology has most positively and or negatively affected your life? So, we may even have a couple of our tech ambassadors who want to just tell us what that is. What do you guys think?
My portal has helped me because because I live alone, it gets to help me talk to my remote support and communicate with them, because before I lived with my mom. And so now that I live by myself, that remote support with that portal on there, it helps me not be afraid, and I can communicate with somebody when my staff is not there.
That's great. Nathan, did you have one too?
I did. I think in my case, it would be really tough to choose one specific technology because I think I've, grown up over time and I've seen the growth of how we're all interconnected, and just the development of technology over the past 30 years or so has been outstanding. But if I would have to choose a few, I would say Dragon Naturally Speaking. I know someone asked about voice to text, and that's a really popular voice to text option. I would also say the development of digital assistants is one of the things that has been really, really important for me to be able to increase my independence and do a lot of my appointments and record keeping independently, among others. Oh, and the development of my wheelchair. I have a class 4 wheelchair that has a standing frame in it for me to give me really important health benefits. And I know that's more DME, but it's also can connect by Bluetooth and sometimes control electronic devices. So just the development of technology has just been outstanding. It's really hard to choose one.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned things like Dragon Naturally Speaking, which is really a mature technology. It's been around for a long time, and wheelchairs. That is not a topic we've really brought up yet. But for me, I think that falls right in line with that topic. Anyone else want to talk about what
Yes.
your most important technology is?
I would agree with Nathan. I can't honestly choose one technology because I use so many different ones, but the screen reader, the digital or personal assistants, Alexa, and the iPhone has created opportunities for me that I've never had 15, 20 years ago. So, yeah, I agree with Nate. You can't narrow it down to one because they're all equally important.
That's good. I think that's great that you guys have multiple examples.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
You got one you want to share, Tanner?
yeah, I was just gonna say, like Nathan and Robert said, I've got so many that like I can't pick just one. But before I was able to get more technology, I had actually got a power chair that would allow me to go outdoors with where the one I currently use at the apartment won't take me. So it's basically almost a 4-wheel drive chair without the cost of a 4-wheel drive chair.
That's great. Anything you want to share, Chris?
Well,
Just most important technology in your life?
right. I want to say I agree with everyone else about there's so many that help you be more independent at home or out in the community. I would have to think using GPS on my iPhone or other app that would help me, and then also use the other equipment that my in-home support technology has to help, just in case I get lost or walk down a wrong street and need a way back. My most important one is my video phone for the deaf and hard of hearing. It helps me communicate when I'm not feeling well and I need just that little help with communication.
That's great. Hey, there's a little follow-up that Austin posted in the Q&A to Nathan's point, and I'm just going to read this and let Nathan reply to this, unless this has been answered. I think it's good for everybody to hear this question just in case. So the question was for Nathan: are you talking about built-in digital assistants like Alexa and Siri?
Yes, in short.
Right. Google Home, Bixby, so many different platforms have those. So just in case you're not used to thinking of them as a digital assistant, that's totally what we're talking about there. All right, wonderful. Thanks for that question, Austin. Here is another one from Hillary McGowan of Columbus Children's Hospital. Are there any new technology areas you are excited about that will increase accessibility in your focus area, or let's just say in your own personal life? I know of a couple.
Yeah, I'll start with that one. I would say I'm legally blind and also use a wheelchair for mobility. So I would say the advancement of the apps that are out there that are navigational and have sensors on them, they can guide people to wherever it is they want to go based on the GPS, the maps, your surroundings. I think that has been the most exciting and impressive type of technology that they have available for people who are blind or visually.
Great one. Who else? Anything that's new that's coming along?
I
I have something, George.
Well, let's let Chris go, and then we'll get to you, Marcy.
Okay.
I think that if you're talking about kids, which we our question is from Children's Hospital, I think that having they have it out there. It's good to get it covered through Medicare, Medicaid, with other insurance to help kids have a visually impaired cane that or kind of can help any other child that may not be just impairment. It can also be used in different ways. It's a cane with a UPS thing on it. You program areas in your hometown on it, and it'll guide you to where you need to go or tell you if you're at a hole or a crack or something like that. It'll vibrate, give you that different sense of mobility. So I think that's a great thing out there.
Great. Anyone else have something new that you've heard about that you think will make a difference for you? Oh yeah, Marcy, go ahead.
The smart stove. I seen that on the OSU NISOnger thing with the smart stove. Like, I'm interested in that because I like to cook. And so how it has all its gadgets on there for safety, because I'm scared of something, so my provider has to help me. But that smart stove, I think it would be easier.
Great.
Yeah, that's also something I'm looking at, George, is a induction range that it's like the cooktop that I presented in the first event, but it's a whole like range, and the one I'm looking at also comes with a air fryer in it.
Wow. That's pretty good. So you can cook for a big group of people then.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd love to do that when we all can get together.
that might happen. That might happen. Hopefully it will. Keeping my fingers crossed. All right. Here is another question from Elizabeth Crucky from Columbus Goodwill. Once someone has a new piece of technology, how can they get help learning how to best use it and how to fix issues when they arise? That is a great question. I'm sure it's one that a lot of people share.
I love this question because I use it all the time, almost every day. I would say, first of all, it's going to depend on what resources you have available in your community. But the generic go-to for me have been the customer service accessibility lines with Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon. They, especially with your phone or your computer, they can log in and see your screen and actually tell you where you need to go, what you need to do, what commands you need to use in order to solve your problem. That's probably the biggest and the most accessible at this time. I also use OOD a lot because they do a lot of training, and if you have an open case with them or not, you can just call and say, hey, my job brought in this new software, or I need to learn how to use Zoom. Can you provide some training with a one-on-one trainer over Zoom or in person where we can do that again? So those couple of suggestions is a good way to start. Of course, there's always, YouTube. That's a big one among young people now. Some of us older people don't use it that much, but
Some of
I'm
us older
not,
people do use it.
I'm not
some of
young.
them.
I'm not young, and I use YouTube every time I get in a
Yeah.
bind.
Nathan, did you have something you wanted to share?
Yes, I was first and foremost just going to echo Robert's sentiments about using the opportunity for Ohioans with Disabilities Agency and getting tech consultation through there, and also getting tech consultation through a waiver if that's applicable to you, and also from other community organizations like Centers for Independent Living would be resources where someone could go to get assistance with technology.
And I think I want to add a note here on that, this particular topic. It's important to know that the companies in Ohio, and I believe there are maybe 8 to 10 of them who offer remote supports. Number one, if you're using remote supports, it's part of their service to train you on all the equipment that they place in your home, and make sure that you and even providers or other family members are up to speed on how to use it all. But those same companies, even if you are not using remote supports, almost all of those companies can and will help you purchase equipment that's not even a part of a remote support and help train you on that. That can be covered by your waiver as well, even if you're not using remote support officially. So that's a good option for training as well. Anything else anybody wanted to share on training?
That works well if you have a waiver.
Right.
If you don't have a waiver, then you have to go to different resources that might be a little more community-based or specifically based on whatever your disability may be. I
Right.
use the Association for the Blind a lot, Center of Independent Living Options. You can use the cerebral palsy centers, Down syndrome associations. They all, if they can't help you, they know who can.
those are great resources.
George,
All right.
like,
Yes.
like for instance, at my care provider / remote support agency, they come into my home, like you said, and put the equipment in, and then they show me how the remote support company shows me how to work it. And so when my staff, my HPC staff come in my home, I show them how to work it and the resources they can go to and research it. So when they start working with me, they'll know all the technologies that I have in my house. So
I
it's
love
like a
that.
little quiz and a little flavor.
That's right. So you become the trainer in that scenario after all, which is good. All right. I tell you what, let's do. Let's take a second before we continue on with questions, and let's do a poll question. So if you've joined us on previous events, you may have seen this one before. There's 2 questions, and then we've got another poll question later. So I'm going to launch this right now. So this is a question, 2 questions on barriers to technology. Okay. First question, what is the biggest barrier to people with developmental disabilities attending events like this one? So as I mentioned, the round 2 events, we have 5 of those coming in the next 5 weeks, and they're going to be structured very much like this event. So intentionally really focused on interaction with individuals and families. What do you think might be barriers to people wanting to come or being able to come and participate in an event like this one? Question 2, what is the biggest barrier to people with developmental disabilities using technology in their lives? Right? We're here in part to help try to encourage this use of technology. What are barriers that you think maybe people might have that may make them feel like they cannot use technology in their lives? Okay, so your poll responses are super valuable to us. We really do want you to participate and give us your feedback on these questions. So we'll take just another minute here and let you guys continue to give us some feedback. We appreciate all of you who are doing that. So again, what's the biggest barrier to people with developmental disabilities attending events like ours here? And what is the biggest barrier to people with developmental disabilities using technology in their everyday lives? All right, we're getting a little bit of feedback here. Just give you another second or two. We've got a couple more responses coming in, and then we'll move on to our next question. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave this poll open for just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and ask this next question. And this one comes from Peggy Roll, Summit DD. And the question I think is great for our panel here. What do you wish people knew about using technology? Any of our tech ambassadors, just give that one a shot. What do you wish people knew about using technology?
I wish they knew that their remote supports can pay for these things, because some of my friends are like, we don't have the money to do it. I was like, you don't have to have the money. If it's something that you really need, you need for work, school, at home, you can get it from your waiver. So to get that known to them, it's really important.
Good, good. Anyone else? This one, hopefully we'll get responses from a lot of you. What do you wish people knew about using technology?
I wish that, more service coordinators, more SSAs and case managers would speak up and let their people know, and other community, like family and friends, know that technology can help be independent. Get a lot of folks ask the question, what if this happens, or what if that happens? I wish that, that we can help them understand that technology can be used to be independent, live independent, no matter who that individual is.
Great. Who else? Nathan, you had something I think you wanted to share, right?
I think I'm largely, again, going to just echo their sentiments. Just really for folks to understand how much technology can help them to be independent and just what all they can accomplish through the assistance of technology, I think is one of the most important things that someone should be able to take away from our experiences.
Great. Anyone else want to share what you wish people knew?
I wish people knew more how to navigate the systems that they are in to maximize the goals and the resources that can assist them with the technologies. And that's why I try to share everything I come in contact with, so other people can know about it as well, because you only know what you know. You don't know anything that someone hasn't told you.
So, Robert, when you say systems, are you talking about, the way that your county board works and some of the outside agencies and organizations you were talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense. And, that's part of what we're here to do, right? We're here to,
Right.
to help share the things that we're aware of. And, maybe those things are new to some folks who are visiting with us.
And the interesting thing is, it doesn't matter where in Ohio you are, they generally work all the same.
Yeah, good point. All right, anything else that someone wants to share on that question, what you wish people knew? We do have somebody who is raising their hand here.
Oh, get those hands up, people.
Oh, I think we may be promoting somebody to a panelist here who wants to ask a question live.
Come on up.
Good morning.
Hello, my morning. I live in Huron, and I've been trying to I'm wheelchair bound also, and I saw this thing called the Freedom Track. Now, track is spelled different, TRAX, if you look it up. And I got the answer basically when I asked for it. I'm like, this thing goes over sands, snow, dust, dirt, gravel, everything. And I got the answer, your chair does everything. It goes over everything, and your waiver will not pay for it. I'm like, Medicaid's not going to pay for it because it's not medical. So I need a waiver to pay for it. And I don't know, I guess just to educate the SSAs and the people who are in charge, I guess, of the grant monies, to educate on, what you're capable of doing and what you need.
So are you saying you're encouraging all the individuals and families out there to make sure they educate their SSAs? That can go both ways, right?
Yeah, to educate the SSAs that, if I figure out a way that we can make that person's life more, helpful, to their life. Yes, they are in a wheelchair. Yes, it gets them from point A to point B. But if your nephew or niece or somebody's out there playing baseball and it's muddy, you can't go out there. But with this Freedom Track, you can go all over the place. If you wanted to play in the snow with your family, you can't play in the snow because your chair can't go through the snow, but with this Freedom Track, it goes everywhere. And I've just noticed that with different things, oh, it won't pay for this, it won't pay for that. I'm like, then what does it pay for? So just educating, I guess, people on, what your needs are, and that just because Medicaid pay for certain things doesn't mean that's what you're stuck to. You can have other things. There needs to be other things to attach your wheelchair to make it better. Kind of like a car, you need to have snow tires to get through. You can't just have regular tires on a snowy road. You have to have snow tires.
Right. Okay,
So-
that's awesome. Do we have a couple of people, Robert and Nathan maybe wanted to respond to that too?
Yep.
Oh, based on my experience, if you can justify why you need something, it can be painful. You just need to be able to work within the frames of your waiver
Mm-hmm.
and justify it and talk about it to the right people, your legislators, Department of Medicaid.
Yeah.
That's why networking is so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is there a grant maybe that I could else maybe go through other than a waiver to get some other things?
I imagine there
part of-
is a
oh, I'm
grant. You
sorry.
just have to do the research to find it.
Yeah, what did you have to say, Nathan?
No, I was just going to say that if you're going through the medical process and you're finding that it's not covered or they're saying it's not covered, definitely appeal, because that's what I had to do to get my class 4 chair if it is medically necessary. And I went through multiple layers of appeal and they eventually covered it. But if you go through that process, and you're not as successful as you would like to be, it goes back to, it reminds me at the beginning when we started this, George asked me what my tech story was. So when you think about this yourself, you have to think about your tech story and why it's important to you, and write letters to civic society agencies, because there are a lot of nonprofit agencies that provide grants for these types of things that insurance might not cover, and they may not be able to cover the whole thing, but they might cover a part.
Right.
And so you have a circle of support around you that might be able to get you to where you want to go.
Right. Okay.
And there's
I
always
just-
GoFundMe.
Yeah, there you go. There's always that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Pat, thank you very much for that question. And these are the types of things that, if it's helpful, we might be willing to talk with you offline about, but
Okay.
thanks very much for that question. All right. Let's see. Let's stop and do one more poll question for everyone. Here's another question. I'm going to launch this question right now. This is just one. So the question is, what fears do you have about using supportive technology in your life? And so this is for individuals and families. And if you're an SSA or another employee of another organization, a provider organization, or a county board, or even DODD, feel free to answer this question. If you know someone well enough in your life who does have a developmental disability that you feel like you would be providing the answer they would give you. All right. So there could be a variety of reasons why people might feel apprehension, a little fear about using, or the idea that maybe that they would be depending upon technology for things in their life. Okay, so just take a moment and share with us what you think. And this is a multiple answer question, so you can check multiple answers if you think that multiple things apply and are important. So again, the question is, what fears do you have about using supportive technology in your life? Okay, I'm going to leave that one up for just a minute. Let's see, we have another person raising their hand here. Let's promote that person. I think we have Bill who's going to join us as a panelist for just a second. Welcome, Bill. You are welcome to turn your camera and your microphone on if you would like to.
Can you hear me?
There's Bill.
Testing. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
Okay. I actually had a question about, they're all different types of waivers. Do different ones cover different things, or are they all kind of the same? There's all different types of waivers out there.
Anyone want to tackle that question?
What,
Yeah,
like,
there are the specific waivers that are issued through DODD, the state, and those are specific to people with developmental disabilities. Then there are 2 or 3 waivers that are issued through Ohio Jobs and Family Services, which are for people who need assistance medically more so than technology or anything like that. So it just depends on your individual needs, on individual needs to make the decision which waiver will work best for you.
Is it fair, Robert or other folks, do you think to just encourage all of our individuals out there, if they have a question about whether they have the right waiver, talk to your SSA, talk to someone else at the county board about that.
Right.
You know, and
Yeah.
that's something the whole team can talk about.
You
Yeah,
know,
I
the
think,
ARC always puts on good trainings about waivers.
Good.
So
What were you going to say,
that would
Marcy?
be a place I would go to.
What were you going to share, Marcy?
like in the different waivers, Medicaid waivers, like for example, you have the self waiver where you can get like Uber and Lyft, and then on the other ones, like the level 1 and the IO, you're not able to. But like in some of the waivers, like the IO waivers, you can get more hours with your staff.
Okay, so
Right.
the
That's a
level
good
one
point. So it
is what
depends on your
Yeah.
needs.
Yeah, it depends on your needs. The level 1, you get less staff.
All right. Very good. Good
yeah,
answer.
and also to like talk about it in my experience, I've looked into like the different waivers, like other than the one that I have, and there are overlapping characteristics of the DD waiver with the job and family services waivers that I've kind of like looked into for a certain reason. And there are sometimes I like wonder why the DD waiver have the capability of like the self waiver, but don't like there are some times where the self waiver, for example, they will have more it's for like more it's for more lenient cases, but then for the people that need more like physical care but don't necessarily have a mental capacity like issue, they don't have a waiver that like is lenient for that for those people because of the physical aspects. Because I know someone that I've actually questioned that very thing with, because she has she's got the mental capacity to do everything that the self waiver gives you the access to do, but needs physical help. And there's not a waiver that is like in between, one that gives the DD services that aren't limited and the physical side that I've saw.
Okay.
So there might be one, but may not know about it.
All right. Great. Thanks for that question, Bill. And we have one more question I want to make sure we get in right here as we get to 11 o'clock. We are going to hang around. If you have more questions and you'd like to stay with us, we'll be here. So please do that. But for those of you who may have something else to do right at 11, we'll kind of give you an official send off here. But the last question that we want to make sure we get in is from Amy Shank at Miami County DD. Do you feel safe using your remote supports? And I know we've got two people who are going to want to give you some answers to that question. Who wants to answer that?
I do. I feel safe with my remote support because I know they're watching me through my camera and they're not looking in my bedroom or anything. They're just looking in my kitchen and my living room to make sure I'm okay. But then with my portal, I can talk to them and they can call me on there to see if I'm okay. And I check in, and they check in with me all through the night and just make sure I'm safe. So, and I also get to talk to them, and that makes me feel safe in my home because I used to be scared.
How about you, Chris? You got an answer to that one?
It gives me a peace of mind and knowing that everything's gonna be okay. Not having to worry about something going wrong, because I know I have the support team, even though they're not physically here, but they can see or talk to me on the tablet, either way, or even if I go outside and wanted to take a walk to Family Dollar, I know I could do that because I could be independent and still carry my support team with me at any time that I might need help, talk to, whatever it may be. I mean, the other day I just had a bad experience at the hospital, and I just needed to vent and talk to somebody. They sit there and listen to me for about an hour and a half because, you know, I try to stand up for myself and I try to advocate for myself, but it still bothered me and I needed to talk to someone. And that was late at night, but they were there to help talk me through it and be able just to lay down and relax. So yeah, it gives me that peace of mind knowing I could be independent, but I still have help.
I like that. So I'm going to guess, just based on knowing the two of you, that you would probably say you feel more safe with remote supports than you would without remote supports.
Yeah.
Right? Like able to live, you know, on your own.
Yeah.
I'd have to say I do feel safe now. Knowing the past, I wouldn't feel, you know, I came out of a bad past into a better future. So I do feel safer now with that. I probably would thought about something different if I hadn't had the support that I have now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel safe now. Like I lived by myself before. I lived with roommates. So when I got away from my roommates, I got more remote support, and that just makes me feel better and independent. And I have all the technologies I need, like the door lock, the app to open my door when I go out in the community. And I just know I'm safe, and I know that I can also talk through my phone to my remote support, because I can go to my Facebook page and go to their Facebook, the company's Facebook page, and talk to them. So like Chris, if I'm nervous about something or something like that, I can just call them.
All right, that's wonderful. So I've got 2 questions left here. So we're just going to hang around for another minute and try to answer these. Question 1 comes from Lauren Ball, who I just happened to meet yesterday, a good friend of Mr. Tanner's. And this is the question: what advice would you give to someone who may feel they do not have the necessary resources and/or finances for adaptive technology? Go, Nathan.
But if I can, shoot, sorry about that. I think I'm unmuted now.
Yeah, you're good.
I think the number 1 piece of advice I would give is to reach out to one service and support administrator, regardless of whether or not they have a waiver, because some county boards do have access to technology that they can load out to individuals as one source. And then secondly, as I said, a lot of nonprofit organizations are funding technology, so you've got to be able to put yourself out there and tell your tech story and explain why a particular piece of technology is going to make you more independent, and understand if you're doing it that way, it might be a longer term process. You might have to do this many times to get a piece of technology fully covered.
Yeah, so that comes just down to advocacy in the end, doesn't it? Right? You advocate for yourself, and/or get some other folks to do that with you.
I would say to that, don't give up on it. Keep pushing. And here's a few tips that if your service coordinator or SSA doesn't come up with some ideas, then you could come back and ask them, well, what if my waiver doesn't pay for it, or Medicaid doesn't pay for it? What about checking with Lions Club, the Shriners, different organizations like that, that a lot of people don't bring up to the table, because a lot of people don't think you might not need it, but you really do. So yeah, bring it up to them and say, hey, what about Lions Club? What about the Center for the Blind, or things like that, because there is options out there. Even though you may not know how to do it, go ahead and have your service coordinator to help you do it, because that's what they're there for.
Yeah, those are some great examples of local, community-based organizations we may not think about as potential funding sources. Anyone else have anything they want to, in terms of advice for folks who may feel like they don't have resources or finances to pay for
I would
technology?
say,
Go ahead, Robert.
I would say, don't give up. Don't say, once you hear no, we can't do that, go on to the next person. Find somebody who can help you make a list of different resources and just ask questions. SSAs can be very big help.
I hear a theme, right? Don't give up when you hear no.
Right.
Did you have something you wanted to add,
Right.
Marcy?
Yeah, like if your service coordinator or something tells you no, tell them that I need this piece of technology. It's going to help me in my life. It's going to help me in my home. So can you please help me? And then if that doesn't help, have you a team like your mentors, your client advocates, and things like that with you if your service coordinator is not with you with this project, and maybe you all can come together and make it happened. I know it happened for me. My team, I call it my VIP team, but my team, we all came. My service coordinator that I had at the time was unsure about it, but I said, this is what I need in my life, and I want that technology. And I found me a remote support provider. And so she got on along with the rest of my team, and we decided on me some remote support, and it's helped me ever since.
Love it. Love it. What'd you have to share, Nathan?
Just really quickly, I know we're running short on time. I wanted to mention Able accounts as a way to fund technology. You can have almost anyone contribute to them, and they can get a tax break on their Iowa state taxes, and you can get technology you need.
Love it.
I didn't hear that. What did they say?
Able
Just talking about stable accounts.
Oh, okay, stable account, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are
Well,
awesome.
stable accounts really help. I have one.
I need
All
to
right,
get
so-
mine running.
Last one I have on my list here is from an anonymous attendee. Has anyone had challenges with the apartment complex you live in, obtaining home technology installed in your home? If so, how did you overcome those?
I have. And
What do you have to share, Robert? What's happened with
you
you?
know me, I always got something to say. I have issues with my hands as well as far as putting the key in a lock. And I asked them for a door with a remote, and they put it in, but they fought me for a while. Wanted to know why I needed it, who's gonna pay for it, and so on and so on. And once I quoted the law to them, told them where it worked, their attitude changed. So I say that to say it helps if you can be knowledgeable on what the ADA says when it comes to home modifications.
Right.
It helps to have your SSA in your corner. It helps to have the county board backing you up. Because a lot of landlords don't know the law.
Yeah, and you would think they would, but I'm sure you have
But-
those situations. Go ahead, Chris.
But I agree with Robert on that, because it's more of standing up and advocating for yourself. If you know you're moving into an apartment complex, the first thing that you want to check out first before you decide to throw everything at them is that, do they have handicap accessible apartments there? And if they do have them available, check them out if they're open and available for people to move in at that time, to see what they do have in that apartment. But to me, when I go to a place and I want to rent something, I've never really had a problem, but I've had, told them up front, I have a service animal, where they kind of want to back away from that real quick because they're not pet friendly. But then, that's when you got to know the Ohio legal rights, and just maybe sometimes carry that information with you that talks about accommodation.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, it is almost a quarter after, and so I think we're going to officially wrap up. I just wanted to say thank you to all the folks that came today. Thank you for all your questions. We really, really appreciate your feedback on our poll questions. Thanks to all of our tech ambassadors for, all of the great information you've been able to share. Thanks to our ASL interpreters for always doing a wonderful job. Thanks to our other core team members for helping make sure that our meetings all organized correctly. We hope that you will join us for one of the next 5 regional events. like I said earlier, they are going to be structured very much like this one, very heavy on the discussion, question and answers. So please help us get the word out. The more individuals and families that we have that attend these events, the more we're going to be able to discuss these same topics and maybe others with folks maybe we have not been able to reach yet. And that's really what we're all about here. All
You know
right.
what, George?
Sure.
It'd be a good idea if we could get the people's feedback on what this session has meant to them and would they like to see more and more in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we would love to hear that feedback. By the way, you know, even after the event ends, you can always email us at info@ohiotechambassadors.org. You can email any of our individual tech ambassadors. All you'd have to do is visit the front page of our website and you can click a button and email any of our tech ambassadors if you have feedback for us on what you liked and didn't like about the way that we organized this event today. Because this is kind of our blueprint. This is really where we feel like we need to be. All right, everyone. Thank you so much again. Everyone have a great Tuesday, and we will see you next week. Bye all.
Thank you.
Bye.
You guys be blessed.